Okay, it's good. Because apparently they are saying they sent us this today.
But if voting got holiday.
Oh yeah. So if you're voting, you can choose not to come next Friday. No lah, I think it's Saturday, right? Saturday is voting. But then some of them travel back. Yeah. So it's a very funny situation. I'll let you see the letter lah. There. You all didn't receive this one?
Oh, you never saw it?
No, you never saw, you never checked. So if you are voting in Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, Penang, Kedah, Kelantan, and Terengganu, especially those who are outstation, you can request to replace the class. If majority of the class is voting lah. Huh? Where are you from? He's not going back to work, he's going to skate. Okay, so apparently everyone is still here. Then we will have the lecture as usual. Okay.
You don't want to see or no?
Huh? Well, I don't know you. The funny thing is, so they said the students are allowed to return, right? That means the student can choose not to come to class. Yeah. But then lecturers still have to come in.
Huh?
Yeah.
So kasihan. Because student is client.
Yes. That's how high UMTC you
So
are.
where you from?
Sir, me, Penang.
Penang. Oh, so you never go walk?
Yeah. I'm from Butterworth lah, so. Oh, 是啊，Butterworth。
soon
邻居。
online class.
Butterworth 哪里？不给我打讲。
过分了。
我是槟城出生的，but KL I'm raised. So technically 我不是 KL。
像你的福建面是哦。
啊？
像你的福建面是哦。
我的福建面福建米啊。哦，什么虾面啊？别假哎，哎It's very funny because I'll tell you my identity is very weird. I'm born in Penang. I actually lived in Penang for my first 5 years. And then my parents moved to KL, so I went here. But then my high school, I went to Klang. So I have this Rojak Hokkien. And then whenever I spoke to Klang or Penang people, right, they were like, where are you from? Because your Hokkien is not Penang, it's not Klang. It's horrible. So I try not to speak Hokkien. But yeah, the first time I know Xia Mian in Penang is Hokkien Mee. I'm like, what the hell? What is this red color? So I stick with KL Hokkien Mee. It's better because I don't like Xia Mian. I don't like Xia Mian. Anyway, but I like kway chap. Penang kway chap is nice.
Yeah.
But then I married to a Johorian. Johorian is so proud of their kway chap.
Johorian,
Yeah. Johorian is super proud of their kway chap. I don't know why they're so proud of it. Kway chap kia, is it? Kway chap kia, see? I never tried it yet. I don't know. There, see? So if you ask me, right, I'm actually like clash of north and south. So I'd rather stay in KL. Anyway, so this one you all have no issue. That means we will continue our lecture. If you have to go to whatever, then you go lah. Okay, I will still just cut down class because replacement is difficult. By the way, some good news. So if you remember, I told you on 21st to 25th, I am not around in KL. I will be in Johor for performance. I've spoke to FOCS, so I think they are okay for me to conduct the classes online. So,
I thought you going Johor with you.
Huh?
I thought you going Johor with you.
You are welcome, but I have no place for you to stay. You can all stay in his house.
Hotel.
Yeah, Johor hotel is not too expensive. Not too bad. A lot of Airbnb, right?
Yeah, for you.
Yeah, all empty one. So,
一晚30多块，新币啊，马币啊。
看水Johorian嘞，这个，快耶，这个，看水Johor。To be honest, right? Johor is actually my second favorite place. Sorry, Penang. Because Penang traffic is so bad. The people drove. Sorry, you all are horrible drivers. 我每次驾车去比那啊，我觉得我每次驾车去比那，我会心脏病一次。Every single 我很怕我去比那，我就想我会不会被人家撞到，会不会撞到？每一次去都很紧张啊。进 JB 就还好，可是 JB 人是很喜欢冲快快的，啊，他没有耐性的，一点点就晕了。KL 的人就是我们辛苦了，放心了。可是我们出马路是没有给零的，是不是？你看 KL 那个学校前面，那天我看那个学生被撞坏了，在我面前，我想这学生出没打什么，以为一定是。Okay, so 21st to 25th, we'll do it online lah. Okay, so same time but we'll do it online. So that means you can just stay at home and watch the class. If you are not going to watch it, at least join so that you take your attendance, then you rewatch the recording. Okay. Right, so today we're going to go through the 4th tutorial. So how is last Saturday's concert?
I know, right? You're gonna ask.
Very good. No, actually my friend asked me to ask you all. What do you all think about the drama performance?
Very good. I'm very happy.
Very happy.
Well, officially answer what? Officially answer what?
Official answer lah. We like honest answer. If it's bad, it's bad. What do you think?
Good luck.
Wait, you're referring to the whole concert or the guitar performance first?
Good.
A very hesitant good.
I feel some part the guitar duet, there are some notes feels a little bit off, is it?
They made some mistakes here.
Yeah,
They made some mistakes here.
feel that.
They were actually quite nervous because they didn't expect so many people to hear. I already warned them. I said because when they were rehearsing, they sound really good. When they were rehearsing on Friday night, they sound really good, honestly. And then I'm like, oh okay lah, then 没有问题啦，明天玩吧嘛 right? Then they're like, oh okay 没问题啦，玩。Then on the day, yeah. So on the day, I actually told them the hall is quite full, so the sound will be quite different from what we rehearsed. So be a bit prepared lah. Then they were like, okay lah. Then they went on, and then after they played the first 2 pieces information嘛 right? So they came off, and then my friend told me, 老紧张的要死，这样死多人呐。Then I'm like, yeah, I told you. So yeah, this happens in performances because because they don't know how many people we have here. They thought probably like 100 people here or whatever. So the hall was quite full. I was too tired that day, so next.
And still go drink.
Huh?
And still go drink.
Oh, I tell you, after the drink is such a funny drink. I'll tell you in a bit.
喝奶茶。
No.
回老凉茶。
Yeah, 回老凉茶. Good for health. So when I went to drink that night, right, it's super funny. I was exhausted lah, but they asked me to drink. Okay lah. Colleagues lah. So 2 media lecturers, and then we sit down. So we start drinking. Then suddenly this guy came over. He asked my colleague for a smoke. So my colleague gave him a. Right? Then he started talking to us. I was like, is this your friend? Some random guy, you know. Then my colleague started asking, what's your name? Things like that. So apparently this is not someone you know lah. Right? Then they started chatting. Again, media lecturer, so they're probably good at communications, right? They started chatting a lot. I'm just sitting there like, what just happened? Then suddenly he introduces his friend, who is a reporter from Malay Mail. Then they started talking about politics because elections coming, right? Again, I don't know which guy said don't know election right? So this reporter apparently is one of the senior editors and writers for the politics news in Malay Mail. He met all the prime ministers and everyone in the political field. He had been in the industry for 30 years. And then the whole night became a politic and drunk discussion. I'm like, what is happening? Because again, two media lecturer, communication lecturer, obviously they know what they're talking about. Music lecturer, I don't care about politics. Just sitting there like,
boring.
妈的，哎呀，老了，不知道在讲什么，是，啊，是 ，you know， pass 是什么啊？So yeah, it's a very interesting lab, but also very awkward for me. But okay 啦。Anyway，
可是我们去不是好。
是咯，你们来就好。
哎，你的东西你要关你，就其实至少我拍到照片了，我拍到照片。
What happened to the drive? Why is it not showing? It's Google Drive, no, this one. Anyway, so tell me what do you all think about performance so we can improve next time. I know it's not perfect. There's a lot of things could be better. Like I think the sound was a bit soft, right? The speakers a bit soft. When I was testing it the day before, when the hall is empty, it's actually pretty loud. So when the hall is set full, apparently the sound dimmed down. That's why you see me running around, because I'm trying to adjust the sound accordingly. The second half is a little bit better, I think. Yeah, because I adjusted higher. So the first half I'm like, shit, so soft. So second half is a bit better, but I know, we learn from that. Anything else? The music is boring. Someone told me in the middle section is very down. You, right? Yeah. So which song you're referring?
That guy with the beard, not me.
So which song is down? Then I can tell the guests in future, right? Please don't choose songs like this. Very silly. What song is your?
Maybe it is because in the first part it makes the instrument two piano and the what is called clarinet. Then after that there's but obviously they are nervous lah. They're nervous lah. The guitar part like
Because I think the general vibe is very different, right? Because when piano and vocal and clarinet is a very powerful instrument, or the guitar is kind of like very intimate. Yeah, originally I didn't want to put guitar into the performance.
if you all in then it's okay.
Huh?
If you all in then okay.
Yeah. The reason why the guitar is there is because they actually had a whole program planned out this year, so they were invited to perform around Malaysia. But in a very small setting, not in this big one. I think this is the biggest setting they played. So when my friend told me about this, I'm like, okay, I'll see what I can do to put you guys into it, because it will be interesting. Because to be fair, Malaysian public never actually see classical guitar performance a lot. Right? You've probably never seen this type of performance a lot. So I'm like, okay, it could be it could be a hit and miss, like what you said, right? It could be, people could be impressed, people could be like, nah, nothing's too special. The first time I went to a classical guitar concert, I actually fall asleep. Because it's so, not the beat playing is bad, it's just the tone of the guitar is very subtle. It's very soothing in a way. Yeah. Hate to say that. I love the sound, but like it's so good for sleeping. so but again, I'm like, okay lah, if we want to put, if I invite other people to come and play, then it will be a bit too similar in a way. Violin, I know some people can play, but violins are very difficult to deal with. Don't tell any violinists. Most violinists are very cocky. They are like, we are the best. So always very simple. So this time I'm trying out with the guitar. So again, that's why I put an intermission between them, so people can go and wash the face. So yeah, but what about the vocal, the Miss Ang's performance? You like it?
I like it.
Good. Then you can choose the music. Because actually I'm gonna talk about it in a bit. Right now. So. Then are you all planning to come to the September concert?
If you want then okay lah.
I'm actually planning. I'm going to see how it goes first because we have about 80 tickets left. 80 lah. So we only sold about 10 like that. So of course we try and sell a bit more, then we can get a little bit of money to cover most of the expenses. But at the moment it's not too bad, the expenses. So maybe towards when it's nearing the date, when if we don't manage to sell too many tickets, then I will probably invite you all to come. Just make sure you guys come to fill out the seats to sort of support the musicians a bit.
I will gladly take two.
Huh?
I will gladly take two.
You get what too?
The tickets.
Oh, you already bought two.
No, I will gladly take two if they are
Oh, okay, you will gladly take two. Okay, sure.
For me, 6
I think the September concert will be more interesting because the music are a bit more modern. There's a lot of pop arrangement, there's a lot of very upbeat music, and there's also percussion involved. So it will be more 年轻一点的. Okay, so what time is it now? Now, we are going to go through tutorial 4, but I will show you the answers. So please take down the answers.
I will turn on the lights.
Go. Is it too bright?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So from this tutorial onwards until the very last tutorial is the scope for your test at the end of the semester. So a very important tutorial. Okay. Why so sad?
You write history here.
It is history. That's why I told you it's basically history. Yeah. In fact, the scope for music appreciation will be used as the music degree's first history course. And then the second one will be more difficult. This is very basic one. Now, good thing on you, I won't be asking you so detailed questions. But let's just quickly go through. Okay. Now, in Middle Age, there are two main types of music. We call it sacred music, secular music. Very simple, if you don't know. Sacred music refers to music that is performed within the church. Sacred means 神圣, so sacred music. Secular music means music that is performed outside of the church. So mostly secular music refers to dance music or music that is by troubadour or troubadours, or in your words, bards, traveling bards. So these are all secular music. Now, if you don't remember what is Gregorian chant, technically it is the oldest music available, technically, in human civilization. But if, in my opinion, try and not think of it as a music, think of it as a chant. Do you all know what is a chant? Yes? Don't know? Later, 5 p.m., go to a mosque, stand next to it. What that one? No. Not chant, chant. So stand next to a mosque, then you will hear them sing, very beautiful singing. Yeah, I'm not gonna imitate them, that's very disrespectful, but every time they will sing, that is actually a chant. It's a similar function, religious chant. In Chinese we have also, but ours is a bit more repetitive. That is also the same function. Okay? Now, so if you think of it as a chant, you won't see it as music, then you will understand it better. Because chant is not for entertainment purpose, it is for religious purpose. So if you look at it, it represents the voice of church tongue quality. So you will always have this very calming characteristic. And then melodies are set to sacred Latin text because at the time that is the language that we use. Right? These are all not too important, we won't ask you too much. Now, here is very important. So, Gregorian melodies are passed down by oral tradition because at the time, music score or music notation system would not mature. So, the easiest way to teach someone how to sing a Gregorian chant is to literally teach them how to sing it. That's all. Then you go and teach your future generations. So that's what we call oral traditions. Many music traditions are oral traditions, including Chinese traditional songs, Malaysian folk songs, or even Indian classical music. So these are all oral traditions, right? So that's how it works. Then a little bit down history, around 8th century, someone in the church realized if you sing two different pitches together, you get this very interesting harmony. So that is the beginning of organum. Organum are basically Gregorian chant, but sung in different pitch or different melody lines. So I feel like the computer is getting slower every semester. Last time, yeah, true. Why they don't want to buy a better computer? Last time when I opened this page, right, it's probably like a few seconds, but now it's like a full minute. It's not even loading, see? So bad. 唉，你们以后有钱了哦，捐一些电脑来学校。
叫马花，
叫马华，
叫魏家乡给啊。
魏家乡没有 power 了。
学校是有钱的，那在哪里用？
What happened to my piano?
Need to pay first.
Seriously?
Get out already.
Where is it? Oh, there. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Where's the volume button? There's no volume button here. Oh, there. Okay. So, for example, this is a C, right? Let's say if I play. Right? It sounds very boring. So this is basically what Gregorian chant is. Everyone sings the same melody. What happened is they realize if we sing a pitch higher, which is the octave version of it, right, then you get this interesting sound. Then it sounds more interesting, like less boring. But then someone have a brilliant idea where we can sing different pitch together. Why not, right? So difficult. Oh my god, this is so difficult. But you get the idea. So there are three ways on how organum works. One, they sing in the same pitch but different level, which is octave. Second, they sing different pitch but mostly in fifth. Or another one is that you have one person sing a note, just sustain it, and the melody is going on. That is called a drone. So around 10th century, this is one of the latest Gregorian chant that they found in the 10th century. You can hear all three of these techniques used. So this is one of the latest findings. But like I mentioned, because Gregorian chants or organums are mostly oral tradition, that means someone teaches you how to sing. So it's very easily lost in translation or lost in history. But this is one of the one that we found. Now we move on. This graph, very important. This is important now. We will definitely ask you about this graph. I will let you know how we will ask you around week 10. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go through this graph because everything is very easily understandable. But I will talk a little bit about dances in Renaissance period. So in Renaissance period, in your syllabus, they only teach you two types of dances. One is called passo mezzo, another one is called gallia. Passo mezzo is a duple meter stately dance, it's a procession dance. Okay? Then gallia is a triple meter fast dance. Now, in Renaissance period, dance are very important social functions because
Stop! Is your skin dry and itchy?
Not this.
Neurosin 80 probiotic
I don't know what it is.
Probiotics to colloidal wholeness. To restore the balance of your bacteria, blocking moisture and provide relief. Bring your probiotics and dry and itchy.
Okay, so in Renaissance period, dance served as a very important social function, mainly to sort of get young people together and find their own mate, right? So at the time, social hierarchies are very clear. So for example, if you're a slave, you can never mingle with the other people. If you are a lower income group, then you can never mingle with the middle upper class. If you're in the middle upper class, then you mingle with your own class. If you're a noble, you mingle with nobles, right? So you cannot cross classes, right? Not like nowadays. But actually, the social hierarchy still exists if you think about it, right? Nowadays, especially for most of you here, including me, we probably considered as the middle or middle upper class, right? If you look at some rural areas, then they are definitely the lower income group. You know, they have very different social norms, social functions. So it still exists. Now, how this works is, at the time, let's say if you are a noble, you want to find a wife, right? The only place for you to find a wife is to attend dance sessions, where you go to these specific social gatherings, and you have a similar social hierarchy people attending it, then you try your best to find the wife. That's all. Yeah. Right. That's how they live, unfortunately. Now, so how it works is like this. There will be two rooms. Okay? So the first room, they will play music that is a much slower type of music, specifically like passo mezzo, or in this video, a pavane. I couldn't find a passo mezzo video for a very long time, so this is the one that I have. But it serves as a similar function. So what the first song does is it allows people to sort of slowly introduce themselves to each other. And then let's say if you found a girl that is interested in you, then you can take her and walk very slowly into another room where you get to dance. So the next room would play a type of music called gallia. Gallia is a fast triple meter dance, and that's where you basically dance. Okay, so let's watch this. Now in this video, there's no rooms because it's a stage performance. So you will see the performer walk around in circles in the first song because technically they should be walking into another room, but there's no room. Now you also realize the musicians are so dark. Try to turn off all the lights. Not any better. Okay, at least you can see there's only a few musicians, right? So at those times, orchestra are not invented yet. That means there's no orchestral performance. You only have this type of small ensemble performance, just like the Saturday concerts, the chamber performance. Now you see the dancers are walking around in circles. So in real life, they will be introducing themselves and halting the partner, slowly walking into another room. Ghanaian movement, so it's in 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's a very fast triple meter dance. Right, so this is Harmonic and Galiot. Although in your syllabus is Passamento and Galiot, but same idea. You have a stately people dance will go slowly process into another room, then they dance together. So if you think about it, this particular tradition still exists today, especially for very, very young people. If you go clubbing, same thing. You go clubbing to find girls, right? Why you go clubbing? Why?
I never go clubbing. Imagine needing to go clubbing.
Same thing lah. You thought they want to go dancing, right? So, do you all know how to dance? No? So all of us will be very single in the Renaissance period. Okay, so actually, if you think about it nowadays, if you like dancing, I know a lot of European friends because I studied there. Actually, in Europe, a lot of young people like us, still our age my age not your age, I don't know your age my age, they still go dancing, but not clubbing. They will go to, like, for example, Latin dance classes or whatever. And actually, at those places, it serves as a social meeting. And a lot of my friends actually met their wives or husbands in this type of settings. European people, not Asian. Unfortunately, Asian, we are not so into dancing. We are probably more into partying and barbecue. Same thing. Okay. So, next we also have a very important point. This is called word painting. In Renaissance period secular music we have madrigal. If you don't remember, or if you don't know what it is, the word sounds too complicated. Just imagine madrigal is the pop music of Renaissance period. Okay, so madrigal originated from Italy and Spain, but it is popular. It was popularized in the England, especially the Tudor era. In your syllabus, there's two types of madrigal. They introduce you to two types of madrigal. One is the original madrigal, and we have ballet madrigal. Original madrigal will always use a technique called word painting. Word painting means you will use the meanings of the lyrics and reflect it or kind of convey the idea into musical, artistic style, whatever it is. In ballet madrigal, they don't do that, but they will use words that doesn't have meaning in there. So if you remember fa la 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 la, all these words, or obscure lyrics that doesn't really have any meanings in that, to sort of give the music a little bit more of imagination, creativity space. Now I'm going to play you one last video about word painting. So.
This video is...
So word painting, right, is actually still being used in today's music, especially pop music. And in this video, he will give you a lot of different examples of modern songs, how word painting is being used.
Sponsored by Pure Slabs. Orbilius Magister asked recently whether I could do a video looking at word painting in songs. Word painting is when the meaning of the lyrics is expressed in the music itself. It's also referred to as prosody. A classic example of word painting is or what about when the melody follows the same direction as the lyrics? For example, more sophisticated type of word painting is when, rather than the melody following the lyrics, the chords follow the lyrics. A timeless example of this is Cole Porter's Every Time We Say Goodbye. As the lyric sings from major to minor, the chord progression does just that, moving from major to the parallel minor chord. Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen is another classic example of this. The lyrics to the first verse are actually describing the functions of the chords that we're hearing: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift. An example of word painting that non-Spanish speakers might have missed out on is despacito. Despacito is the Spanish word for slowly, and sure enough, when we hear despacito sung, the tempo temporarily slows down. These are all fairly obvious and straightforward examples of word painting. But word painting can be a lot more nuanced and subtle. For example, some writers don't just try to express the lyrics in the music, they try to express the greater themes of the song. In Riders on the Storm by The Doors, the keyboard player Ray Manzarek imagined his classic Rhodes line as sounding like raindrops.
And here's the rain part. After we finished the song, he said, "Oh man, I've got super rain and thunder. Riders on the storm, it's raining on the desert, right?" "Yeah, exactly, Bruce, raining on the desert." He said, "We gotta put in some rain and thunder." So sure enough, the whole thing starts with. And then that bass line.
Okay, so I'm gonna explain a little bit what he's explaining here. In this particular example, you don't actually hear someone singing or there's lyrics there. So although this is considered as some form of a word painting in general terms, but it's more of a prosody. Remember the term he mentioned in the beginning? So prosody is more referred to instrumental examples of how we portray particular ideas. So for example, let's say if I want rain, then the music is like very light and then a lot of high pitch, these kind of things. If I want thunder, then I want this really low pitch sound. So it's sort of like kind of like playing around with different sounds but creating an effect that people can actually understand. So it's more of a prosody, not really word painting per se.
A very subtle but beautiful example of word painting is the melody of Somewhere Over the Rainbow from The Wizard of Oz. In many ways, the main melody mimics the story of The Wizard of Oz. We start with a big octave leap away from home, up to somewhere that seems like home, but isn't quite the same. So this is Dorothy being swept up from Kansas and dropped into Oz. And then the rest of the melody is spent winding its way back down to where we began, back to the root. Because after all,
There's no place like home.
so you might be thinking now, surely this is overstretching a bit. Didn't Harold Arlen just write this melody because he thought it sounded good? Surely there's no deeper meaning than that. Well, you could say that, but don't forget that this tune was written explicitly for this film. Just like how John Williams will be thinking about the characters in the films that he scores for, so was Harold Arlen when he wrote this song for The Wizard of Oz. Some songwriters have actually used word painting for comic effect. F10DA is a great example of this, where Ben Folds has taken advantage of the names of the notes in Western music to hide a dirty lyric in plain sight. F10DA with a D. F10DA, F10DA with a D, a big fat D. See what it's like to be.
So this one is a very interesting example. If you read the lyrics, you realize it is basically cussing, right? If you don't know what they are cussing, I am not going to try and explain it. Someone please explain this to your friends if you know what it means. So what he's trying to do is, if you look at the notes that he used, if you know how to read music score, this is actually an F note, and this is A note. That's why he said this is F in the A. So that's the word painting technique that he's applying. Okay?
F10DA was, I really felt like the album needed it needed an educational angle for kids to learn the scale degrees and the notes at the same time as they learn some bad language. So I want to teach kids how to cuss, and I want to teach the kids what notes they can cuss from, like theoretically correctly. A similar example is I Bought a Black Guitar Shooter by 10cc, but rather than matching the notes of the melody to the lyric like Ben Folds did, 10cc have matched the chords of the song. Once you're aware of word painting, you might start spotting it everywhere. You raise me up.
Okay, so so you can sort of see word painting technique doesn't have a particular format or way to do it. It's very, very flexible, very fluid. It's entirely depend on the artistic application of the songwriter or the musician. Okay, so if you are writing about Miss Ang's performance in your concert report, please get the lyrics from me. You might actually find word painting techniques, then you can talk about it. Right? You don't have to go all of your way to find word painting, but if you do encounter it, definitely talk about it. I will give you extra marks for it because it's something worth discussing. Right? Then the last two questions of the day, very simple. Renaissance period sacred music has two types: motet and mass. Motet is a shorter version, mass is a longer version. Mass typically has 5 sections: Kyrie, Gloria, Credo, Sanctus, and Agnus Dei. If you don't know what is a mass, any Christians here? No Christians? 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 No Christians. Do you all know that? Okay, fine. Okay, do you all know that Christians gather on Sunday morning?
Yes.
Yes. Don't know. Okay. Do you know what they do on Sunday morning? Sing a song. What song do they sing?
Hallelujah. Huh?
They sing mass.
Huh?
So Christians gather on Sunday morning to sing mass. It's a type of religious song that glory to God and whatsoever. So that tradition actually started in Renaissance period. So that's why here you have Renaissance mass, which is basically the song that they sing on Sunday. But of course, mass developed through time. Nowadays, you will find church that sings pop songs. Basically, it's still mass. It's just pop song version of mass, if you think about it. But some actually still sing this type of mass. Okay, so that is basically what mass is. Right. Then we have who is the greatest French composer? Guillaume de Machaut. If you don't remember, he's the guy who sort of really explored the polyphonic compositional technique. And then you have Giovanni Gabrieli, late 14th century Venetian composer. He is known to include a lot of instruments into his sacred music. Because if you think about it, most of the music before him, sacred music, are vocal, choral music. But Giovanni Gabrieli he's not the first composer to use instrument, but he's the composer who really pushed the development of that particular type of composition. Okay, he also worked with a lot of instrument makers, so he kind of helped to develop the instruments as well. Alright, so far so good. So, in your concert report, need any help so far? Which song are you all choosing to write about?
We plan to pick your song because we can ask more about the song from you. Last song.
So who's going to choose my song?
Yeah, Happy New Year.
All of you are. Okay, if you're going to choose my song, there are 3 songs, right? Executive, Cantilene, and American in Paris. Executive, there are very, very little information available. It is composed by Michel Mangani, which is an Italian composer. He is still alive, very young composer. But if you Google a little bit, you can find interviews of him on his composition. He's actually a clarinetist. That's why he wrote very well for clarinet. So you can sort of use that as your reference to sort of talk a little bit about the style of the music. No one actually discussed Executive a lot because Executive is more like a small work that he composed for an Italian composer called Corrado Giuffredi, and that's all. And he played it for his album. That's all. So there's not a lot of behind meaning or whatever. It's not like a very artsy thing. It's a very straightforward music, nice music, good composition. That's all. But if you want to analyze the form, it's not too complicated as well. It's an ABA form. So you have this introduction section, then you have the middle section, which is the slower part, if you remember, and then you have the repeat again, the A section. So you will need to do most of the analysis yourself, but it's not too difficult because it's quite a straightforward music. Cantilene, you can find a lot of information online. It's composed by a composer called I can't remember his name. Louis Cahuzac. So Louis Cahuzac was a professor in Paris Conservatoire, which is one of the oldest music conservatoire in Paris, also one of the best, and he's a clarinetist. So he wrote this piece as a competition piece, because if you don't know, in Paris Conservatoire, if you study there, if you want to graduate, so for those who don't know about music studies, it's very different from your typical degree. So in Paris Conservatoire, student has a graduation competition, not exam. So what they do is, let's say all of you are clarinetists now, right? So this year you want to graduate, right? You final year already, right? Last time already, right? So you have to perform, okay? So you have to perform, but in one of the songs, you have to play a new composition composed by a modern composer. Most of the time, it's composed by the local faculty members, the lecturers or whatever. Then you compete. So that year, let's say, how many of you are here? 20. 20, okay, let's say 20 students. Let's say the university quota is 10 students get to graduate this year. So you all actually have to perform the same piece, the top 10 graduate, the last 10, right? See you next year. That's how they graduate until today is still like that. So it's extremely stressful. So that piece is actually a competition piece. So a graduate exam piece. That's why you hear I play a lot of show off technique. So that's how they work. So you can actually look it up on this type of composition. It's very, very interesting to discuss also. And then the last piece, An American in Paris, originally was composed by George Gershwin, an American composer. But it's not for clarinet, originally it's for orchestra. And that part that I play is actually a small part in the original song where it was originally performed by trumpet solo. So what the composer, the arranger, Michel Mangani, same composer for the executive, he took that idea and then add in a little bit of other elements from George Gershwin, other song, Rhapsody in Blue, and combine it into this particular composition. So it's a very interesting composition. You can actually find a lot of information on those two original pieces, Rhapsody in Blue and An American in Paris by George Gershwin. So if you want to do the last one, what you need to do is not look into Michel Mangani, actually go and look for these two pieces and then see how they relate to the one that I played. Then you will find a lot of information to reference. Make sense? His face is like, oh my god, 这么难打.
I pick back the singing one.
Okay, so anyway, start doing your research. I make it sound very complicated, but it's actually not that. Quite straightforward. You can ask ChatGPT for help. There's a lot of information on that. And I forgot to mention on the day as well, did you all realize there's a poem on every single piece of music?
Yeah.
Those are ChatGPT generated.
Well,
I forgot to mention, if not the president, ooh. Ooh. Anyway, so, any other questions? What piece are you all choosing?
No,
Or another concert?
no, 还没有决定。
I mean, so once you decided, if you don't know how to research on that music, you can always ask me. Use on my list. Okay? So all the best. Long day. Thank you all for being here. See you all on Friday.